The conflict involving North Korea is unfortunately getting worse due to some of the public comments that Trump continues to make. Now, to give you a little context, yesterday during a press conference in regard to the opioid epidemic, a reporter asked Donald Trump what he intends to do with the issue of North Korea developing nuclear weapons, and here's what his response was.
Thank you.
Any comment on the reports about North Korea's nuclear capabilities?
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. He has been very threatening beyond a normal statement. And as I said, they will be met with fire, fury, and frankly, power, the likes of which this world has never seen before. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, North Korea didn't take kindly to that message, and they responded by saying that they would target Guam, a US territory, and unfortunately, Donald Trump decided to double down. Now, he did so in the form of 2 tweets. He didn't mention North Korea specifically, but it was clear what he was implying and what he was indicating. The first tweet said, "My first order as president was to renovate and modernize our nuclear arsenal. It is now far stronger and more powerful than ever before." That wasn't actually his first order as president, at least not based on what he said while he was running. But nonetheless, that's what he claims now. And he also says, hopefully we will never have to use this power, but there will never be a time that we are not the most powerful nation in the world.
Okay, so 3 things about this. First of all, this settles the debate. Was he talking about nukes? Yes, he was clearly talking about launching a nuclear missile at North Korea. So we live in dangerous times with dangerous leaders. So I don't know who's the more of a spoiled, ignorant child filled with hubris, whether it's Donald Trump or Kim Jong-un, but that is a dangerous contest that they are in. So it is firmly established now what the conversation is about. The US is threatening to use nuclear weapons. Now we tell everybody that they can't even have those nuclear weapons because they'd be so dangerous if other countries had them because they might use them.
Right.
But we have used nuclear weapons, and of course it's a completely different context, but now we're threatening to use them again. Okay, number 2, almost everything in the tweet was a lie. So it was not his first order. His first order was against Obamacare. That order came actually a week later. Did they immediately then execute that? He says it is now far stronger and more powerful, etc. No. Then Mattis, his defense secretary, had to give a different order in April. And none of that has been executed because it takes a whole year to even begin the process. So him saying now our nuclear arsenal is even stronger and better, but it hasn't even happened yet. Okay, you're not surprised by any of these. What we now consider low-grade lies by Donald Trump. But to me, the most important part was the end when he said, now nobody should mistake that we're the most powerful nation on earth. But nobody does mistake that. We know that, the North Koreans know that, everybody knows that. But that doesn't mean since we are more powerful, we will quote unquote win.
That's right.
Right? So, because it depends on your definition of winning. Yeah, can we wipe out all of North Korea with endless nuclear weapons? Yes, we can. Should we is a much more important question. Is that winning? Especially if they launch their missiles on South Korea, Japan, and even potentially some of our territories. I wouldn't call that winning. Yes, we would obliterate them, but it is not a win for the United States of America.
And keep in mind that this is all in response to the fact that North Korea, there is some intelligence indicating that North Korea has developed smaller nuclear weapons that they can place onto these missiles. And that means that they have developed, at least have some capacity to cause some serious harm, if not to the United States. I mean, that's still a big question, definitely to their neighbors. And so South Korea, of course, is a huge concern. Japan is another concern. And so for some people, if you don't dig deeper and kind of understand the nuances of this type of foreign policy, it seems like he's just being a tough president. But there are real ramifications to the type of rhetoric that he's using. And the first ramification is that now people in Guam are worried about their safety. They're worried that North Korea will retaliate by using their weapons against them.
And by the way, he's playing this dangerous game with a guy who, by all accounts, is deeply irrational. So, and he's been taught and almost bred to be irrational. And what I mean by that is, of course, not by the nature of his ethnicity, but by the nature of the power that he was vested with, that his grandfather and father were considered holy leaders in North Korea who can do no wrong. That breeds an unearned confidence that is super dangerous. So as dangerous as Vladimir Putin is, he's a very smart guy and he takes strategic, calculated risks. So if you threaten Putin with nuclear war, he would know that you're unlikely to do that. He would be very unlikely to retaliate given the consequences that he could easily calculate. And by the way, that is very true, very much true for Iran as well. The leaders of Iran are terribly corrupt and dictatorial, but mainly they want to make money and oppress their own people. They can make normal human calculations. By the way, they don't have a nuclear program thanks to the deal that Obama made. So, but when you do it with Kim Jong-un, that is not a rational actor, and one that has never showed that he's ever cared about his own people. He's the one basically imprisoning his own people. So you're playing with fire here, literally.
And it's not just Donald Trump. So his Secretary of Defense, James Mattis, has also released a statement in regard to what's going on with North Korea. And I want to read you a portion of it. First of all, the most relevant part in his statement was the following. The DPRK should cease any consideration of actions that would lead to the end of its regime and the destruction of its people. And so the fact that that's even a consideration is something that people should be concerned about, at least if you're a human and you worry about innocent individuals dying as a result of all this. Another part of his statement that I thought was relevant goes as follows. President Trump was informed of the growing threat last December, and on taking office, his first orders to me emphasized the readiness of our ballistic missile defense and nuclear deterrent forces. While our State Department is making every effort to resolve this global threat through diplomatic means, it must be noted that the combined allied militaries now possesses the most precise, rehearsed, and robust defense and offensive capabilities on Earth. And again, this is how he ended the statement. The DPRK regime's actions will continue to be grossly overmatched by ours and would lose any arms race or conflict it initiates.
So again, this talk of winning and losing. Yeah, I don't doubt that the North Koreans would quote unquote lose. I mean, you just threatened to kill everybody in North Korea. Yes, that would be a loss. But that doesn't mean we win. Number one, we will have done something horrific, perhaps by launching nukes. Even if it is 100% successful and North Korea can't get a single missile, let alone nuke off the ground, we will have incinerated hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of innocent civilians who are in North Korea. If you don't care about that, there's something wrong with you. Now, if you say, look, I get it, but Americans are more important. I understand that. Look, I believe that all humans are the same. I know that conservatives find that to be an outrageous position. They're like, no, of course not. We are better than them, or whatever it is that you think, okay? And look, we live in LA. Our families are here. Of course we care about our families and we don't want to get hurt, of course, right? But that doesn't mean that I can't care about them as human beings. That doesn't mean that there isn't a better solution out there than, I don't know, man, I tried. You know, in 1999, Donald Trump said that he would negotiate like crazy with North Korea and that he would get the best deal. Well, where the hell are those negotiations? Where's the art of the deal? No, the minute he runs into any kind of trouble, he's like, all right, let's consider launching the nukes.
Let's fire people, let's use weapons, exactly. I mean, his way of winning a deal isn't to negotiate, it's to strong arm people and take drastic measures. And in this case, a drastic measure would mean innocent people dying.
Yeah, and look, when you take a drastic measure in business and you declare bankruptcy and you tell all your investors, screw you, I'm never gonna give you your money back, and he did it 6 different times. Okay, but nobody died, right? When you take drastic action as a president, it's not a business. People's lives are on the line. And again, our allies, my God, if I was a US ally and we've got this madman saying we're gonna launch nukes right next to you. Again, even if it's perfectly successful, the radiation would clearly go into South Korea. And it's not going to be perfectly successful. The North Koreans will launch, and when they do, I'm telling you, millions is not an overstatement. Even if they don't have nukes, they will obliterate Seoul, South Korea, or they certainly could. So this is not something to be trifled with. And look, if you say, then what are nukes good for? You only press the button, and I know some people would never press it under any circumstances. But if the nukes are already in the air against us, this is not a first option. It is the very, very, very last option. When you say, I will incinerate, you know what that means? You know, we rightfully are sickened by what ISIS does to women, children, men, throwing people off of buildings and mountaintops and butchering them. Nukes light people on fire, babies, grandmothers, aunts, uncles, the very last option. Instead, this guy runs into a little bit of trouble. He's like, I don't know, we got nukes, we're powerful, we would win. Okay, and is threatening to use nukes. It is, and if you think that's a good idea, there's something wrong with you. You are a deeply immoral person. Watch the Young Turks commercial-free, download it or stream it, watch it any way you like at tytnetwork.com/join.